For full episodes as they air, listen to Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and blogtalkradio.com/Grants Rants.
Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk.
Megyn Kelly Today premieres 2 rough reviews. We have the latest on Hugh Hefner's estate drama. Kenya Moore's status on RHOA is questionable. And which state could be getting a new Housewives? That plus a set-side look inside Judge Judy. That and lots more with Rachel Robillard. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by producer and host Rachel Robillard.
Woohoo.
Hello, Rachel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Of course. And from Reality Tea and AfterBuzz TV, it's me, it's Grant's Rants. And I'm ready to talk about a lot of stuff that has happened with Rachel. We have bonded through AfterBuzz TV.
That's right.
So, Dallas Housewives, you're a Dallas girl. I was excited to meet you from the email. We get an email before we start the shows introducing who's going to be on the panel. So I was excited to meet you from the start.
From the very start, I knew we were going to be friends after the email introduction.
Yes, of course. I want to give a shout out to all the listeners who watch Real Housewives of New Jersey. Well, I'm going to be recapping yet another show, and this show will be on Grant's Rants. So I'm going to be doing a weekly recap show Wednesday nights. It's going to be live on Blog Talk Radio, but it'll be available to be listened to afterwards. So if you've followed us on our YouTube channel, you know that I have Grant's Rants Small Talk. Well, this will be a podcast version of that. Grant's Rants Small Talk recapping the Real Housewives of New Jersey. So after I do OC, Dallas, right for Dallas, and now I'll be doing.
You are an honorary, housewife. Seriously, like you just know everything about all of them that you could produce the entire show. I feel.
I think it'll be fun for people to listen to the recap the way I would like to do it here on the Rants. A little bit more loose. There's no rules on the Rants.
No rules.
So
Rants, no rules.
I'm gonna have a different co-host either call in or come in, most likely call, or I might just do it myself. But I'm working on booking people to be able to partake in the recap with me. So that'll be a bonus episode every week on Grant's Rants. So new thing.
Love it.
Do something new. Another thing for me to do.
Another thing. Yet another.
Another thing. But let's talk about what's going on.
Yes.
So Megyn Kelly began this week, the week prior of us, the time of recording this show. So she has her 9 a.m. show on the Today Show. And if you read the press, it's been off to a really rocky start.
I know. I feel like she was kind of like set up for failure too, though. She got a lot of scrutiny from the very get-go. So...
Yeah, it seemed. I want to know your thoughts on it because we'll spell out exactly what happened and how it was put in the press, shall we say?
Right.
So this Vulture article came out and it was really criticizing her and the Today Show. And the title of the article says it all. It says Megyn Kelly today needs to be torn down and rebuilt. So not exactly the review you want for the first day out. So they talk a lot about this. The first thing I heard, and I was against it from the first moment, was that she said, quote, "The truth is I'm kind of done with politics for now. It's everywhere. It's gotten dark, so dark. I'm just like over." All right. Well, look.
Yeah.
Why are you getting paid to do this show under NBC News if you're not going to talk about what you were hired to do, what put you on the map, what people want to hear, what you're going to say? This is the reason why you got this job, because you did go up against Donald Trump on Fox News.
Right.
Which was a big moment. So, why do you want to avoid this? And then it's more of the same. It's more of talking to celebrities and talking about high-waisted jeans and it's like more of the same. Of course, let me preface with saying the views are my own and not those of NBC Universal.
True.
So what do you think of this move, not talking about politics?
Well, that's the thing. It's supposed to be more lighthearted. This show is supposed to be more lighthearted. I get it, why they're steering away towards, away from that. I understand, but you're right. That's what landed her on the map from the get-go. But now she's trying to do like a whole new genre, trying to go a 180, I feel like kind of scaring out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a 9 a.m. morning news show, so nothing should be off limits. I think nothing should be off topic. Especially late stuff is like at 9. Like I don't know. Then if you look at Good Morning America, I mean that show, that is a complete mess. I mean, they've got a live studio audience, and they're interviewing like a random person from like Freeform. It's like it drives me crazy. I can't
and they
even
have
watch
concerts too. I've like it's they. I think they're great. The structure is okay, but I can see what you mean that it is kind of all over the place. But
Yeah.
so is
They're all trying to do different things, but they all kind of look the same to me, except for CBS. Their morning show is a lot more old school in structure.
very much. Mhm.
Yeah, which I kind of like because it gets to be really distracting. I mean, it's like a variety hour more than it is a news hour or news 3 or for the Today Show 4 hours.
Right.
So it's a little much. So and then there's also the scrutiny regarding the celebrity interviews. Now, again, this is not what made her who she is interviewing celebrities, and I think it's the last thing we need is another sit down with celebrities. I think it's
leave it to
tiring.
Wendy Williams. She'll get the real tea.
Yes.
She's my girl. Shout out to Wendy.
What did you think of Deborah Messing? She went on there. She had her interview, and she said on Instagram that she regretted the interview.
Yeah.
And this was the first day.
That's so awkward. That is so awkward. Poor Megyn. And I mean, I don't think she's all to blame. There are producers and there are people behind the cameras that, don't get as much scrutiny compared to her because I know it's not just her. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is that it's not just Megyn, doing all these, having these questions prepped and whatnot. Like this is a lot. She has a team. She definitely has a team.
Right. Do you think that there's a bias because she came from conservative news? I mean, she was, people could argue she was a center or more liberal voice in a conservative environment.
Right.
I don't know why people have it out for her. I mean, I don't know. Granted, I've seen these interviews. I saw how it went down. Before the show, we were playing the Jane Fonda interview where she was offended that she was asked about her plastic surgery on air.
Yeah.
I just feel like they are going too far with all this stuff. I mean, it's one thing to criticize this new show and all eyes are on it. It's a big move in the morning landscape. But, I mean, none of these things are that horrendous. Like one of the cameramen was seen in the shot and he swore on air live. I mean, that's an FCC shot. They can pay that overnight, like whatever. So, I mean, I don't know if it's that serious, if it's that awful as people are making it out to be. I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm at work at that time. I don't have access to watching it at that time. So I'm not a viewer. I'm not the demo. I mean, I don't really care what happens. I wasn't watching 9 o'clock when Tamron Hall was on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't really make a huge deal. But I mean, I agree with this article in the sense that they need to figure out what works for her.
Right.
And they mention also about bringing her back into the Today Show studio. She has her own set.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like the favorite child. They were saying, like, you get your own set. It's brand new, and everyone else is going to stay over here. What do you think? Is it partial?
I think it's good that it's a new setting. I think it's, a new show, new host, new everything. I get that. I understand that. I personally like it. I like the whole scene and I like the audience there. I like how they were able to see the audience and their interaction. And speaking of this article with Jane, I really like how she kind of switched the question. Are we really going to talk about that? That was her response to the plastic surgery, and then goes, let me talk about the film. Like she kind of, she steered it. And I'm like, wow, that was props. And you can just see in her face too, like, oh, wow, we're about to talk about this. Like, she was not happy about that.
And that's not why she's there. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to the show itself, the guests see that they're going to the Today Show because Deborah Messing tweeted this out. It said, like, we're going to the Today Show. They don't know what they're going on Megyn's show. They think,
she didn't realize that.
Yeah. They think they're just going to sit down on the couch with Matt, so they don't even know.
Right.
So, I mean, I think you need to specify. If you're going to rename it Megyn Kelly Today, or is that what it is today
Yeah,
with Megyn,
right?
whatever? Yeah. So it's like, well, why can't it have its own name? I don't know. It just, that seems a little odd. So the last thing I'll say on it, and I thought this was very smart. A source said, I believe this was over on page 6. It said, quote, "They spent all that money on this great political anchor and journalist. If you take those things away, what are you paying for?" And so I get it. I mean, she is a really good journalist. Why is she sitting there like doing the Meredith Vieira show 2.0, you know?
Right? Because like remember when Kelly was looking for a new co-host during that time, and one of the CNN reporters, Cooper was it? Like he was one of the Anderson. Yeah, Anderson was one of the contenders to be the co-host with Kelly. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. He is a reporter. He's a journalist, for that's silly to go on a talk show and be a co-host when exactly he's meant to be reporting news. And so I feel like this is the kind of same as for Megyn. Like,
I could see that.
That's my little comparison.
Yeah, well.
All right, what are your
sure
thoughts on it? Like, are you liking the show? I know it's just the first premiere week, but what do you feel? How do you like it?
I'm just not into those daytime shows anymore. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing with Wendy. The first 20 minutes are great and it's novel, but
Hot topics. How you doing?
Yeah. But when it comes to the guests and all that, if I don't have an interest in the guest, I'm not watching just because I like the host. And to me, if I thought she was joining the Today Show to be like have her own segments and be Megyn Kelly journalist. I didn't know it was like, okay, she's coming here to have her own chat show. You know, we're going to have it be light and fluffy, and I get it. But I mean, I don't know. I think news is being redefined, really. So, I mean, maybe it's the best thing, but I'm sure that NBC will make the necessary changes as it happens.
Right. Yeah. Do you see maybe she needs a co-host? Like, do you think she can do it by herself?
See, then one of these articles recommended that she has a co-host, like a rotating one that comes in, like, you know, like Kelly did before she selected Ryan. You know, Anderson Cooper had that on his show. And to me, I think I don't like that. I don't really care for that. I mean, it works for things like this show, like podcasts, rotating co-hosts. I don't know. I feel like it's all about chemistry if you're going to have someone like that to carry a show, a full hour show in daytime. I don't know if she can either do it on her own, which is very hard as an individual host, or, you know, just integrate her with all the others. I mean, today's talk or whatever, today's take that they had before this show, it was a nice panel. It was good. You could add somebody new, but you still had the chemistry of 3 other people. It was smart. I mean, I think that they should really integrate her more with the people on the Today Show. That's my opinion.
I like that.
So now let's go into my rant of the day.
Grant Rant of the Day.
My rant of the day is going to why I refuse to discuss the Kardashian pregnancies.
It's the hot gossip. It's what everyone's talking about right now.
I know. Let me tell you, it's very hard to steer this show around the Kardashians.
Props to you. I don't know how you're able to, but somehow you do. So kudos.
I just don't want to talk about them. I thought that because wait a minute. Are these pregnancies, are they confirmed yet formally?
Kim,
are we
for
still
sure.
Pretending?
Kim is for sure. She has a surrogate. And that was the whole rumor, is like, oh, is Kylie holding the baby? And Kylie hasn't been confirmed, but Khloe has. Khloe's for sure pregnant.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous that 20-year-old hasn't been confirmed yet. Because that Chris, don't let anyone fool you. She's got everyone right there. She probably dropped that hint. That could be confirmed within 20 minutes.
Right.
So the fact that we're going on 2 weeks of this news not being out is all for attention. It's all a media ploy. I hope they got their ratings on that 10-year anniversary. I hope it was worth it, you know, fooling around with, you know, is this 20-year-old going to be pregnant? I mean, I think the whole thing is gross.
Do you? You really think that? I mean, I just want to know if it's true. That's what it really comes down to. But it's really freaking ironic that last week, it was Friday when the news leaked that Kylie was pregnant, and then the 10-year anniversary was that Sunday.
Of course.
The reunion, which they definitely dropped that at perfect timing, if you ask me.
I was just looking at an article, and they said that Kylie spends either $17,000 or $70,000 on baby clothes and toys and all this stuff. So they're all like following these breadcrumbs to find out the truth.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you're really into the Kardashians.
I am a Kardashian girl. It's like I that's what I'm actually going to be doing tonight is watching the season premiere at 9:00. But that's that's my guilty pleasure, and the fact that I follow them on social and I keep up. I'm definitely up and at 'em.
For whatever reason, I would have a soft spot should Kylie be the one that's the surrogate. I doubt that's the case.
That's the rumor. The rumor has it is Kylie is the surrogate for Kim, but why? She is 20 years old, can't legally drink yet. Right. And why would her sister set her up for like that?
Right.
I just don't think that. And her mom, I don't think her mom, come on, Chris. Chris wouldn't want that.
Can we not use the birth of a baby as a publicity stunt? Is that possible? I don't think so. I don't think it is. So I can't go on. This has been my rant of the day.
That's my opinion!
Rants.
So Hugh Hefner, we all know he passed.
Oh my gosh, 91.
I know.
He lived a great life.
We would be remiss if we didn't discuss it on Hollywood Talk. I mean, he saved the Hollywood sign twice, which I want to point out. When I was a page, we used to give a tour at the old NBC lot, and part of the tour was us pointing to the mountain behind us because we were in Burbank. And we're like, what do you think is on this mountain on the other side? It was always the Hollywood sign. And so then we would have to tell the story about how he saved it in the 70s. He auctioned off letters, $250K a piece to be able to save the sign because it was in complete ruins. Wow. And then in 2010, he did it again by donating the remaining $900K to save the sign from a bunch of development people that wanted to come in and build condos around the sign. Could you imagine how ugly?
Oh, it would look horrible.
We really don't need that. There's enough condos. We're good.
Right.
So I just feel like, he definitely is a piece, love him or hate him, a piece of an icon, a Hollywood icon until today, which seems 91. He started his company at 27. I mean, a long career in LA. God bless him. So his 31-year-old wife, though, Crystal Hefner. What do you think? Is she going to make out good with this? Apparently, she was not. There was such an ironclad prenup that she's not getting anything, apparently. I don't know. What do you think?
I think she's getting a little something. There's no way. I mean, they were married, and so...
Yeah.
It's not like she's keeping the house, that the house is going to be renovated, as I read, and it's... I don't know. I'm not as much of a Crystal fan than I am with Kendra.
Okay.
Love Kendra, from Girls Next Door and Holly. I loved them.
I know them from the show, but I don't know anything about Crystal.
Yeah. I feel like that show, The Girls Next Door, it was so iconic, so awesome. You really got to see inside the house, the relationship between Hef and the girls, and I was just about them. And now once, out with the old and with the new, I guess, with Crystal. Yeah. But we don't really know who Crystal is. I feel, she didn't have her own show like the other girls, and she's just...
She was the one who tried to get out of the marriage. They were supposed to get married at Christmas time or whatever, years ago, and she backed out at the last minute, and then she ended up marrying him later the next year. So there was something way off with that one. I was fascinated by that. I don't even know if this show was around back then. I don't think so, but that would have been something I would have definitely followed. So he's estimated to be worth $50 million. And then Holly Madison said that one day she saw some paperwork on his bedside table that she happened to read, and it was all about his will and testament. I'm like, this is way too soap opera easy,
Right.
oh, here it is laid out. Let me just take a peek. And apparently half of his estate is going to charity. Always been very charitable, say what you want about him, but he's always given a lot. So yeah, you mentioned that the Playboy Mansion is going to be renovated. It's being rejoined with a neighboring property. I guess they were all one big compound years ago, and they're going to make that one big thing. And it's a licensed zoo, so the animals will remain. That's so fascinating to me,
right? What would be really cool is if they made it into a museum, where people could come and see and just they'll not touch it. I kind of want it to be left untouched because I can't speak for you, but I'm very curious what is actually inside and what kind of things, are there. Are they going to get everything out like they have to, which is unfortunate. But I'm just so if those if I could be a fly on the wall
Yeah.
at the Playboy Mansion, I am so curious what I would see. So curious.
I mean, he's lived there since the 70s. That's a lot of time.
Right?
For a lot of stuff to happen. I mean, the backyard alone, that grotto and all that.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So have you ever been, or do you know anyone that's been?
I do have some friends that have gone to the Halloween party, which is something I want to talk about because timing is everything. And it's crazy that Halloween is right around the corner and that his passing is right before the annual Halloween party. I'm really curious to see if they'll still have like a Playboy Halloween bash. From like their annual Halloween parties to also a lot of shows have featured the Playboy Mansion. That's what I really like about Hugh, is that it seemed like he didn't close the doors to the house. Like it was pretty open, like from having, Entourage there and like other shows like Will Smith and, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They've had a lot of shows have featured the Playboy Mansion. And I also really think it's cool that they had a reality show there too.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think I can think of a handful of people who have been there just for parties, and it's like, they just go because they're a hot chick, what I mean? So it's like, that is like interesting because you don't hear about other people being in and out of those homely hill mansions. So yeah, he really was very open to the world considering his stature and all of that. So he could just really just like lock it up.
He really could have.
You don't know what's going on in here, but it's true. I mean, he was pretty open. So
it really did hit me though, like hearing of his passing, for whatever reason, it was like, whoa, that it like was heavy on my heart because it's like
it hit a lot of people.
Yeah, it just was. I mean, fortunately, he lived such a great life, and it was more natural. It wasn't like he, passed very dramatically.
Right.
Like it was in more of natural causes, and he passed away in his home with loved ones. And I mean, it's beautiful. It's crazy, but it really did. It hurt me a little bit, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, right when I heard it, I wanted to reflect on pictures because one year in college, I was a Playboy bunny. I went on a social event and my date was Hef, and that's how we dressed up and it was fun. So I had to like reflect on those pictures too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's iconic. He will forever be, he's his
name.
He's a legend. His spirit's going to live forever.
Yeah, it's true. That the whole Playboy thing will never go away anyway.
Never.
Yeah, he changed everything.
Everything.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with that. So real old Hollywood person leaving us, another one. So worth taking a moment to look at. And now another institution could be changed. This Hocus Pocus movie on the Disney Channel. Now they want to remake this movie, add it to the list of remakes. Originally made in 1993. I mean, it's talk about iconic.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows this movie. So now they want to remake it, and it's going to be back on the Disney Channel with a whole new cast. I haven't seen one positive thing about this. I feel like everyone's been freaking out about this and very upset.
Right.
I'm wondering if it's a stunt because I feel like it's not necessary. The other movie's so beloved, it's almost like an insult.
Right.
I wonder if they really are going forward with this. What do you think?
It's such an iconic movie. Like, does it really need a remake? Exactly. Like, I don't know. Even like, remember like Halloween Town? Like they did Halloween Town 1, 2, 3. And it's like, you can't beat the original. So I just, for Hocus Pocus, no.
I mean, I don't get it. They replay it during the Halloween season 17 times on Freeform.
Yes.
So it's like
17 times they're going to play that with the whole Halloween. I mean, hey, but it's a fan fave. I get it.
Well, that's why I leave it alone. If you're getting enough viewership for those people to watch that 17 times and have it be worth it, like, then it doesn't need to be redone.
Right.
I mean, it has the worst, most negative press around it. I mean, I wouldn't want to touch it. Bette Midler said in the past that she and all the girls agreed that they would do it again between themselves. It was just like offline, but like, we'd love to do it. But they said you have to talk to Disney because we can't make it happen ourselves. We need to be offered this project and these roles, and we're just not hearing anything. So I don't know if they're going with the whole new cast. They're not going to go with those girls. So I mean, who are they going to put on it? Like some Disney stars? You know what I mean? Like, how can you compete with who was on that?
Right.
I don't know, just leave it alone, please.
Yeah.
It's like so tough. I'm all for progressive stuff, but this is like not even that progressive. It's just recreating something from the past.
I know.
let's talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. I want to get your thoughts on this. So there's two things going on. First, in Housewives news, the Atlanta Housewives are on a cast trip to Barcelona, but Kenya and Kim are not in attendance. Kenya is supposed to be a full-time housewife, Kim, friend of. But there's been a lot of drama surrounding Kenya this season, and supposedly she either quit or got fired. And so now they're like more than halfway through the season. You know, they go on that trip like 3/4 of the way in. So they're more than halfway through, but apparently she is, they said that she went to the top to prevent, they said Kenya went to the top to prevent Kim from going on this trip, and that she's been in a battle all season long getting her attorneys involved with Bravo. Her husband wouldn't sign a release form, so her storyline is all jacked up. And it sounds bad. I mean, when you're trying to be on a network show and you're going against the network and recruiting attorneys and all this, I mean, it can't end well.
Yeah.
She's forfeiting her position, in my opinion.
And it's over release forms. That's what it really comes down to. Her husband's not signing.
That's part of it. Yeah, that's the main thing. And so, of course, now they're all attacking her marriage, saying that it's fake. So she's trying to get, and Kim's leading the pack on all that. So Nene, Portia, and Sheree are lobbying. They were lobbying for Kim to go on this trip, and they're lobbying against Kenya at every turn. So, of course, the whole cast is divided, and so Kim.
Who's your favorite of the crew
of Atlanta? I like Kenya because she's a classic, what stirrer. Like she's amazing at it. So I like her, and I like that she goes against the grain of the show a little bit. Like she never was Team Nene. They all come on and they all want to be Nene's best friend,
right?
And it's like you can come on and be your own person. Yeah, it's okay.
Are you a Nene fan?
No,
you're not Nene. No. Oh, I love Nene. You don't follow her on Instagram?
No, I do not.
I do.
I mean, I'm nothing really against her. It's just I don't care for her that much. I don't like people that aren't humble. And that woman is a very unhumble person. Is that the right word for it? Like, she's not humble.
You're right, yeah.
So, she's not that great either to be that over the top. So, I don't know. She's all right. I like the gifts.
Yeah, right.
I send the gifts.
She is a queen and she knows it. She just, and it's interesting with her and her husband and how they, divorced and got back together, which is an interesting scenario.
Yeah, I love the minutia of these shows. So now, with Kim not going on this trip, even though she's only a friend of, in her contract, she's, quote, guaranteed so many episodes, unquote, according to this article on Tamra Tattles. I give these sources, these crazy sources, but I love it. They got a lot of stuff on there about Atlanta, and a lot of details about this. If you want to know more, you can check out the article over on Tamra Tattles. It's pretty good. But what they're saying is that because of this guarantee, and now Kim not going on this trip, she's now out 3 episodes because it's going to be a 3-episode arc, allegedly, of how much they're going to show in Barcelona. So now they have to make up for this time or pay her outright. So they say production is a mess. I love hearing about production. I love hearing about the behind the scenes drama because it's like so secretive and so protective. But why? This is what's really going on with this group of girls. What are they going to say? Oh, Kenya stayed home. She didn't want to come. No, say what really happened. Right? This is the drama.
We want to hear it.
I hope they break the fourth wall with this. I feel like they have to.
We're all curious. You got
Yes. I want to know. Anyway, there are some Real Housewives being cast. I want to know what you think about this. Over in Florida. So you remember Real Housewives of Miami. Did you ever look at that?
They didn't last long, did they?
3 seasons, but they were spaced out. And I really didn't care for Miami. In fact, that was the one I really did not watch. And I didn't watch DC. That was before I really got into it all. I was very selective at that point. Now I look at them all. It's part of the lifestyle,
right?
Definitely. So they want to return to Florida, and they're looking at, of course, this is according to TMZ, who I hate to use as a source, but this is where the information is coming from.
Yeah, they've been pretty credible lately. I give TMZ some credit.
Yeah, I mean, they're more credible than most, I will say. They're looking at West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Boca Raton.
Oh my gosh, Boca.
Yeah, you gotta go to Boca.
I feel like I gotta go to Boca.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe we live in a world where there's a Real Housewives of Boca Raton. But I mean, hey, there's a Real Housewives of Potomac.
Yeah.
No one knows what that is.
Right.
So, I mean, what do you think? Like, going back to Florida, I know Miami shows are very hit and miss. Like, a lot of them
Right.
don't last. So I think it's good not to go back to Miami in this
Mm-hmm.
case. Like, I'm all for new housewives, things like that. But I really want to see them do the Pacific Northwest.
I like that. Yeah.
So I'm like this way and that about going back to Florida. I'd rather see a new territory, like with Dallas.
Yeah.
You know, Dallas was overdue. Like, that region of the world was
Totally.
forgotten. So now it's like perfect that we're rounding it out. That's why now we need to go to the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
Would you watch this, The Real Housewives of Boca Raton or West Palm Beach?
I would. I'm curious to see what kind of drama would be going on there. I mean, you know, there's drama with all the housewives, but
Right.
it's beautiful there. I love Florida.
It's all in the casting. So if
It's
they get
all
good things
in the
going,
casting.
Yeah, you need to get a good production company behind them that can cast this show, that has cast other housewives. Like, I feel like a lot of these shows, when they get their own production company that hasn't done a housewives before, it doesn't look like a housewives, it's not cast like a housewives. So, like, just keep it, if you're going to keep the train going, just give it to a production company who can, you know, make a seamless start. Because with our show Dallas, I mean, a lot of people were very turned off by the first season, and now the second season is amazing.
Right.
But it just got off to a bad start. Like, you know, now with all these shows and all these housewives, you know, people have to think twice before they get into these, because there's just so much of a commitment you can give.
It is. I mean, it's a job. I get it.
So I don't know. I mean, I'll always look at the new season if it's any good. But there's the only season that's currently on, the only series that's currently on that I will say that I'm really am done with is Potomac.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at that show?
I've not really been in Potomac, no. I'm more of like Beverly Hills and obviously Dallas and Georgia, you know, those are my girls.
When we return, we're going to be talking with Rachel, who works at my obsession lately, Judge Judy.
Yeah.
And I want to have a full Q&A, things that have always been on my mind. I want to know from you, Rachel. And we're going to talk to Rachel more about her career and things here in LA. And shout out again, I want to remind everyone, if you're watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey, listen to the after show, or the recap, we'll call it, here at Grant's Rants. That'll be out Wednesday nights. You can catch it the next day on Thursdays. And we'll be back. Now this.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back talking with Rachel Robillard here on the Rants.
Yes, I'm here.
And we're going to talk about, I'm telling you, I'm serious with this. Before the fall season started, there was nothing to watch. So I found episodes of Judge Judy, and I've been watching them. They've been fabulous to fill, you know, the background in while I'm working on something like the show, washing dishes, or if I'm like, it's the best thing to watch for me before I go to bed because it makes me laugh.
Right?
You know?
And
So-
it's all real. Real cases, real. It's all real. It's not scripted. I mean, you know, we do, you know, prep the litigants on what to say, but it's all real drama. It's pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, I want to ask. So I have a few things. We'll make this into a little segment. Why don't we? It'll be what I've always wanted to know. I want to know this. Is there an audience in there, or is that a paid for ticketed, or is that background actors, or is it a ticketed audience?
It's paid audience.
Okay.
It's a paid audience. Yeah. So like we pay them to come to be a part of the show.
So there's nowhere you can sign up to be in the audience.
No.
So it's kind of like paid background work.
Yeah, it's not like One Iota where you can just, you know, go to Jimmy Kimmel and get a ticket. They're paid actors essentially just to be there. Yeah.
Lucky.
Right? Yeah. And
I mean, I guess. I don't know if I would be interested in sitting there for that, because they can be long days, I assume.
oh yeah, the amount of emails and letters that I receive hoping to be on the show, or not on the show, but to be in the audience is actually crazy. A lot of people are so interested just to sit there, which is
Oh, wow.
yeah. A lot.
I don't know. I feel like I got all that studio audience stuff out of my system, you know? Like, I'd like to actually go and see Bill Maher again at TV City. But as far as sitting in the audience, it can be long, especially sitcoms. It can be like 6 hours. I'm surprised, but I mean, I'm not too surprised that many people would be interested. I mean, you must be. Would you want to sit in the studio audience? Not for that show, but another show. Are you into that?
I love talk shows, so I would love, as I said, I'm a big Wendy Williams girl. That's what I watch every day at 11. I do have a TV on my desk, and I got Wendy at 11. And that's something I'd want to go and see for sure.
Every time I'm in New York, I want to go to that, and she's never taping the week that I'm there because I'm there for holiday weekends.
Right, of
it's
course.
the only time I can take time off. So she's of course not there, and I'm serious. I despise The View and everything.
Do you?
I've been going off about it for years.
Okay.
But I feel like I have to, almost an obligation,
right,
to go to that audience, sit in that audience. But if they're another one,
well, why do you
pre-tape
despise
a lot
it?
of shows. Oh, that's another show for another day.
Okay, interesting.
It's the worst show on television. Let's start there.
Oh, okay. So are you more like The Talk? Are you more like The Talk fan?
I just think The View is just crap, and Barbara Walters is a joke, and I just No, but I mean, that's just me being a huge bitch. I know, but that show, they pre-tape, and then they don't have that many dates when I'm there either. But mark my words, someday I'm going to do a full investigative show by me going in the studio and on The View. Someday when I'm in New York at the right place and the right time. But until then,
I miss Raven. I wish Raven was still on the panel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like Raven.
Yeah, she was polarizing, I guess you could say. Yeah. So anyway, what I love about Judge Judy is that it looks like it's in New York, but it's taped in Hollywood.
It is in Hollywood.
Why do they make it look like it's in New York?
Because that's where she's from.
Okay.
That's where she where she's from. That's actually where she lives. She flies out every other week for tapings and stays at the Montage in Beverly Hills. And I mean, she can afford it, so why not?
So she lives in New York. She commutes for the show. How many cases a day are shot?
Great question. So we film every other week, and it's about 2 or 3 days of that week. And we do about 10 to 11 cases per day.
Okay.
And so we just knock them out and back to back. And we're usually done taping by 3 o'clock. It usually starts around 9, and it's just back to back. And it's in 22 years they've been doing this. And it's a machine.
I was going to say, it sounds like a real system.
It to a T. And I'm very honored and blessed to be working there. I've learned so much, and I'm actually the youngest employee there, which is kind of cool. So, a lot of my friends are working with people their age and, more a young atmosphere. And mine's just, I'm really looking up to the best of the best.
Yeah.
And I feel very lucky.
And I bet a lot of them have been there from the beginning.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. The supervising producer, my boss, has been there from the beginning. She was an associate producer that got bumped to producer, and now she's supervising producer. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's what's so great about daytime TV is that you can have such a long career. You're still working in the business, but you don't have that threat of the shows being canceled, having to, call on your contacts and all that. I mean, you can make it as long as you want over there, really. It can be slow to grow in, but if you're in a good position, who cares?
Right.
And it's as far as daytime goes, I mean, it's a very reputable show. I mean, it rates very well. It's 10 million people a day.
Yeah, so, we have a lot of viewers, and we just got our third Emmy this year. We scored our third Emmy, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what's the process like of having these litigants be sent in? I know that they come from all over the United States, and they I guess they relieve the small claims courts by having them come on Judge Judy.
Judge Judy arbitrates the cases, so the whole point is for people to come and get it all settled with Judge Judy, arbitrated through Judge Judy, so they don't have to go back to small claims court, and it can just move on from there.
So how do they find these people? Are there researchers?
Yes, we have researchers from all around the country that go to small claims courts and pull small claims. And my job is actually, I receive them, and I'm supposed to divvy them up and to the producers. We have 9 producers, and I divvy them up, and I have to sort them from an A, B, and C case, which is, we look for more relationship-based cases.
It's a lot of mother and son, or ex-wife, ex-boyfriend. Yeah, I can tell.
It's good TV. We got, and we also have people who email the show in hopes to be on. So we have email submissions, and
Is that when they kind of go, have you been involved in a scam?
yeah, right.
It's that, yeah.
Email
Okay.
Judge Judy, and actually, fun fact, I'm the person people are emailing. I read all those emails, and I get some. I have a good laugh on a day-to-day basis based on the emails that I'm receiving. Let me tell you, it's great.
I bet. I imagine maybe some are the correct grammar.
Oh my, right? Like it's very interesting, and it's a wide spectrum too. Like people, young, old, so many people are emailing the show in hopes to get on the show, or just giving their 2 cents, which is pretty interesting. I can go in like just. I've never been like, I don't want to go to work. I really do walk in loving my job and loving the people that I work with. It's very family oriented. As you said, like a lot of people have been there from the get-go, and people don't really leave, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I read these, like, just these cases, and it's like if I were to have a bad day, I'd automatically just perk up because life isn't that bad. I'm not suing my mom for something, like
right.
some other people are.
So you said A, B, and C cases. So A is like the relationship. I guess those like the prime ones.
Yeah.
For the
Well,
show.
A is more like harassment
Okay.
and king of a car. So like, that kind of crazy cases. And more like a B is like relationship based cases. Like it's, the mom and daughter drama. And then C is more like landlord tenant, or, things that you would really need to what's really behind that. And that's the thing is a lot of people are like, my landlord's not giving me back my deposit. And the amount of cases that I see that happening all the time. But we don't really like take those kind of cases that don't have a little bit more meat to the story. It's like, what else is going on? It's,
right.
Yeah,
like they trash the place or they set a fire.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
Right. We need a little bit more juice.
Right, yeah, for the television press, yeah. So I could only assume, and I've read a few things over the years, but both parties have to agree to be on the show. So what's the process like? So you say you get like a great case. It's like this mother and son who are fighting over money. And so then, I assume the show would reach out to them and agree, and then you fly them in. What's the timeline like?
Yeah, it's actually really fast. As I said, we film every other week. And so we have to book these cases. If we have a 3-day, we need 32 cases. And it's a pretty fast turnaround time. We get the claims, and then we reach out to people. And we pay for their flights, we pay for their hotels, we pay for an appearance fee, and also say you're suing me and I owe you money. Instead of the money coming out of my pocket, it's the production company paying for it.
Oh, wow.
So that's the biggest thing, is that we're paying the judgment.
Oh, so
Yeah.
these people really aren't paying. So like if someone's pissed that they lost and they owe someone $2,000, it's from the show.
Yeah, I mean it's like we're paying on their behalf.
Well, then that's how you get people to do the show.
That's and it also doesn't go on your record either.
Oh, wow.
So that's like the biggest thing. It's like we pay the judgment, and also it doesn't go on your record, because if you're suing someone, it can really affect your credit scores and whatnot. Having
Do the
that baggage.
litigants know that they're that the production company is paying beforehand? Because they get awfully fired up if they owe someone money and they have to pay them. It's like, well, now that I know that they're
It's really not coming out of their pocket.
so they're really not losing anything.
Right? It's technically a win-win,
Yeah.
But people come onto the show because it's their real. It's real. Like they are, they do get upset. And afterwards, it's like, oh my gosh, really? The plaintiff won, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
But you can't be as mad because it's not coming out of your pocket,
So the plaintiff arrives, and then the defendant arrives. And they kept separate.
Separate the entire time.
The
We put
entire
them in
time.
separate flights, separate hotels, separate everything.
Okay.
So
They got to think of the hotels and car service.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't be seen.
Yeah, they do
okay.
not see each other until they walk into that courtroom.
Interesting. So do they each have their own producer, I assume? Or is the case assigned to producer?
So the producer reaches out to the litigants, and we're supposed to be unbiased, being with both the plaintiff and defendant.
So, but it's each, like, so say in an episode of Judge Judy, there's 3 cases. Are there 3 producers assigned to each individual case, or is it one for that episode?
It's per case. Yeah.
Okay.
It's per case. And we have teams, a producer and associate producer. And so you have a team. So it's technically 2 producers on each case.
Interesting. Oh, I just find this so fascinating. Right? Yeah, on the outside looking in, of course, it's so much more interesting. You see how the sausage is made,
Yes. It's a production, let me tell you.
When I first started, I wanted to work in production, and I wanted to work over there. I think I saw a post for it, but long story, never happened. But Judge Judy has been on my radar as a place to work because I think it's a really good central location in LA where a lot of these shows are way out in the valley or whatever.
Right.
So I like the ones that are like central Hollywood.
Right.
I was trying to find a show
in Hollywood. Yes.
Yeah,
it's
so
great.
central. So what else can I say? I'm so curious to know more about the show. And Judy, what's Judy like to work with? Do you have any type of relationship with her?
So Judy, and I actually should send you a link. She was recently interviewed. Harvey, TMZ Harvey.
Yeah, 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did an interview with her. He has a new show out, and I'll have to send it to you. And she actually goes into detail about her relationship with her coworkers, with us, and there really isn't a relationship. I mean, she knows, she's seen me in passing, and she's only there on tape days. She has her chauffeur that she gets there at 7 a.m. on tape days and leaves right after the last case. It's strictly business. So she isn't, we as producers, we do not talk to her about cases. She goes into the case very unbiased, and it's her when she enters the courtroom. Yeah, she's very business savvy, and I give her so much respect for that. Mm-hmm. And she's also considered a celebrity. She has her dressing room and her rider of things she wants in there, and she's very professional.
That's great. I believe it.
Right.
When working in daytime, a lot of hosts can, I'm talking about hosts mainly like Ellen and Steve Harvey, they can be, they can have a bad rep, they can be, be really intense and difficult and have a very fast turnover. And that's how you can tell. When there's a quick turnover on a staff, especially in a writer's room or producers, that's when you're working with someone who isn't professional.
Right.
But I can tell just by the way you're commenting and answering these questions about working in and around Judge Judy that, it's strictly business. I believe it.
It is.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk more about you. Thank you for all the intel. That answers my question.
Yes.
I love it. And she's the only one that I can watch. I can't watch the other judges. I don't believe that all of them are real.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't speak on behalf of other court shows, but Judy's real, and it's real crazy stuff that goes down. And it's a lot of people are like, oh, it's scripted, oh, they're reading from a teleprompter, and that is incredibly false. No, like this, as producers, we prep them, we help them in aspects of like, don't forget to say this, because it goes so fast. These the show has like 1 or 2 per episode cases, and it's 30 minutes and it's edited, but it's so fast. It like she gets done with cases. It's like 10-15 minutes. It's usually like it's crazy if it goes more than 15 minutes.
Well, so those really aren't edited down. It's more real time than not.
Yeah. Essentially, like it's what you get is what you get. It's not, and that's what's amazing is that they've used the same stage, like the same setup for years, and it's amazing that we're able to generate so much money. And because a lot of different shows have like the more like scripted shows, I guess you could say, like have locations, and there's so much that they have to put money towards.
A lot of production costs,
right?
Yeah.
And our production, it's the same stage. And
I was going to say, are they ever going to renovate that set? It's looked the same for a long time.
Yep, it's the same thing.
Even the graphics are like slightly modified from the beginning. Yeah. I noticed all this stuff. I find it very interesting. But I want to talk about you, and I want to know more. So I know that you are from Dallas.
I am.
What brought you here? Why are you here?
I've always wanted to move out to Los Angeles. I was actually born in Ventura.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Not
and
far from LA.
I was born in Ventura. Moved when I was 5 to Flower Mound, Texas, and my family has been in the same home since I was 5, and my sister was 2. My little sister Jackie. Yeah.
So you kind of always had ties to California.
Yeah, I guess you
know?
could say, like, I've always just had the urge to come
Yeah.
here. I've always wanted to work in Hollywood and be in the entertainment industry. And so that's what I'm doing. And I just know my 10-year-old self is really happy because that's what she wanted. And I can just pat myself on the back because, you know, I did it. I'm happy.
How did you get to Judge Judy?
How did I get to Judge Judy? So when I originally moved out here, I was working. The reason why I came out here was because I had a job at Young Hollywood. So I started at Young Hollywood, and then I moved to The Voice. I was working at The Voice before Judge Judy. And then honestly, I thank God so much. It's based on contacts and who you know. You know, you can only apply to a portal, and who's going to really see it? It's just the people you know and the handshakes and the coffee dates and just keeping in touch with people, networking.
That's at the networking. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's
so
great.
How long have you been at Judge Judy?
A little over a year now, about a year and a half.
So what are your goals? I assume they're producing goals?
Right. So I'm a production administrator right now at Judge Judy and also a part-time associate producer. And so I want to one day be a full-time associate producer. I'm kind of, going up the ladder, as you would say. And so as an associate producer, you do produce cases, and I have produced my own case before, which was really exciting and is actually a key car case. That's one of the A cases that I was talking about. And 16-year-old Sierra keyed her former friend's car after, drama that had happened. And so it's great. Yeah.
Now that guy who does the voiceover, I have another question.
Yeah, right.
Does he do it from home? I assume he must just submit those things. What is
He comes to the studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he comes to they record him in the office, and he's been the same one since day one, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good paying gig, and you don't really have to do much, and it's so dramatic. It adds so much to the show. I love a good voiceover. All right,
yeah, and you're great.
Judge Judy questions.
No, hey, it's all good.
I love it. No, I feel like we've all watched the show on and off for so long. I mean, after a while, you have a few things you want to know about. It's interesting. It's very cool to get an inside perspective here on the Rants. So you want to produce, and did you want to stay in kind of the alternative unscripted space? You said you were at The Voice. I love unscripted, obviously.
Yes.
So that's why I've always wanted to work.
You and I both. Yes, I love unscripted. I love reality. If you were to ask me 5 years ago if I'd be working at Judge Judy, I'd be like, what? Like, no, I didn't think I would get into court TV, but I solemnly love it. And I feel like it is the right track to what I do want to do, and that's to be in, reality television and the unscripted development.
Yeah, I worked on unscripted in development for a little while, but it was a different time. It was a different landscape in the business. Now I feel like things like these format shows, like your show, the court shows, and mainly game shows,
right,
are really the new unscripted,
right?
know? So it's always changing. Who knows? Yeah,
it is. There's always a new show beneath your nose that will pop up. The next best thing. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. I feel like everyone's watching this American Idol. They're gonna see what happens with this.
I know. I'm really curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of waiting on what's next for these big unscripted shows. A lot of these talent shows have done really well, but what's the next thing?
Right.
So we'll have to see, So,
I know.
Yeah, well, thank you for chatting with us on the Rants. I appreciate the conversation. Is there anything you want to promote? Where can we find you and all that good stuff?
To promote, y'all can stalk me on all my social media outlets. It's at Rach_Robillard.
We're done. Please leave. I'm asking you to leave.
And if you want to hear even more of the two of us talk, you can listen to us recap The Real Housewives of Dallas.
Yeah.
That comes out on Tuesdays over at AfterBuzz TV. And as you know, if you watch The Real Housewives of New Jersey, stay subscribed to this podcast because you'll be getting a bonus episode every Wednesday night or Thursday morning, whenever I can get it done. And you'll hear the recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey for that week. Don't forget, we have content over on YouTube. You can support the Rants over on Patreon. And as always, I love you for listening. There'll be more Rants to come.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the Rants on Patreon. Follow us on Twitter at It's Grants Rants. Cover art created by Howie Ronay. Voiceover by Aw Yeah. Original theme music composed by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.